I'm here to tell Springbok fans to calm down. And if you're one of the people that last night was typing, we kicked away the ball too much, I've got very bad news for you. You were right in the first 40, but you might be wrong about what actually won us the match in the end. Welcome to Forever Sports, and today we're going to be talking about the Springboks versus Argentina match last night and the big reaction that is currently taking place across the country, across the internet, and across all various different social media platforms at the moment. A bit of a mini meltdown among Springbok fans, not all Springbok fans, but about the performance and the tactics that the Springboks deployed last night. And today we're going to do a bit of a dive as to, first of all, why those tactics are a thing, what happened last night as to where it went right, where it went wrong, and look at some of the facts and speculations as to exactly where the Boks can find gains, what they are doing, and trying to find maybe the truth, inverted commas, or a better version of exactly what went down. Before we do that, please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. This channel is giving away tickets to the Boks versus the All Blacks at Ellis Park, as well as at the F&B Stadium. So make sure you join the members club and become a part of that and become eligible to win these tickets. So last night, the Boks not at their best, and Rassie Rasmus was very much happy to say that, basically saying that we were not accurate on attack, and that was to be expected with the change, with the players left behind and the players coming back from injury. However, the big issue across social media and with Boks fans at the moment centers around one very, very simple thing: the kicking game. And unfortunately, if you don't like the kicking game, if you don't like the idea of box kicks, you're going to be very disappointed in this video, as well as in supporting the Boks, because it is a cornerstone of the Boks game plan for good reason. It is a tactic that works globally, and it is a tactic that the Boks do better than everyone else. And alongside the likes of the scrum is what the Boks are deploying to become the best team in the world. The best boot in the world is a Springbok boot. It might not have been last night, but that is what the last 18 months have shown. And statistically, we are right at the top there. And it is one of the main reasons we have been putting on big score lines, scoring more points, and being so dominant. In terms of the Boks and the Boks kick and the kick out of hand, 28% is a very important number. That is one of the Boks retention rates during last year's Nations or end of the year tour, and it is one of the best in world rugby at the moment. The Boks retain more kicks than anybody else. Statistically, the best kickers in the game in terms of teams win the most matches. Why do we kick 30 meters? Another big number. That is the field position that you gain from a single retained kick. And 12 is another big number because that is the amount of tries France scored off kick regathers in this year's Six Nations alone, and they went on to lift the trophy. So why do we suddenly have a kicking game? Well, there was a very important law change back in 2024 where World Rugby outlawed kick escorting and basically said that you could no longer basically shield the player, the defending player, from catching the ball and create almost like a bit of a pot around them. And therefore, there needed to be a clear way for the attacking team to get there and contest the ball. And as a result, we saw it double in terms of the amount of contests within the aerial contest. So all of a sudden, your fullbacks, your wings, and likes of that were not being protected. And as a result, attacking teams could now compete for the ball. And we now saw a more than double the amount of percent of contestables in that air. As a result, the attacking catch success rate went from 38% up to 45% in the last two Six Nations championships, where they've really sort of gone into detail regarding this. Whereas your defensive catches have gone from 85% down to 79%, which means the kick contest is more competitive than ever before, and it is starting to rise in the form of the attacking team. And this is why it has become an attacking weapon. Why do we do it? Why do we kick the ball away? Inverted commas. Why do we see players kicking the ball within the opposition half, within 22s, right by the try line? Not obviously on the 5, but right there. Well, it's very, very simple. A kick and regather progresses you up 30 meters on average. That is how much, if you kick and you regather, you move up the field. In comparison, you will need around 6 to 7 phases of possession to be able to try and find the equivalent of that 30 meters gain, which means you're needing 6 to 7 carries, which is 6 to 7 more sort of possibilities to potentially go wrong. Is your chance of retaining the ball better in a carry? 100%. What are your chances of retaining the ball across 6 to 7 carries? Are you getting forward across 6 to 7 carries? Are you making progress across 6 to 7 carries? That is the big question. The shortcut to that, the kick. Because a line break will happen sort of every 15 to 25 carries. That is how often a line break actually happens. So between every 15 to 25 carries, you'll have, inverted commas, a line break statistically. So 6 to 7 of those carries, for example, to try and get to those 30 meters, those often aren't even line breaks. That's unfortunately just kind of basically pushing the opposition back versus a single kick, which can progress you 30 meters. That is the philosophy. An important caveat, kicking more does not necessarily win the game, but kicking better almost always does. What we've seen now is teams that have tried to deploy a similar tactic to the Boks in the form of Wales during the 2026 Six Nations. They kicked more meters than anybody else in the tournament with 29.4, but their kick retention was 10.2%. So they basically got nothing back. And we saw this against from Wales against the Boks, where they kicked towards the Boks, but they didn't get the ball back. They finished last in Six Nations. This is not a coincidence. Again, teams that kick poorly genuinely perform poorly. On the flip side, France won the Six Nations, and they were the best off the boot. They scored a total of 12 tries directly from kick regathers, 4 times the amount of the next best side. 65.3% of France's 32 contestable kicks were retained. So now you think about progressing 30 meters and getting the ball back. You've done that within seconds, and you're creating open play. They scored 30 tries in the campaign, more than any other side, of which 12 were a direct result of kick regathers. The Boks own this entire part of the game. During the 2025 November test, they had a 28% regather rate, better than any other team in the world. The average was 19%. The next best after the Boks was Ireland with 21%. And they were 7 points clear of the next best side in the world during that time. Of which 31% of their kicks contested, which is the highest of any team during that period. Let's talk about how that actually won us the match last night in many ways. Right, so here we are with the build-up towards the try, and after a brilliant step and carry from Zach Porthen, the immediate thing we do on the front foot is Moine van den Berg, who had just come on, shapes for the box kick. And this is a contestable. The big thing we talked about is the fact that we kicked poorly last night in the first half. In the first half, we kicked too deep. We didn't adjust for the wind conditions. We didn't get to contest. And as a result, we went behind and it scored only towards late in the half. This ends up being the winning passage of play. And where does it start? A contestable kick, much more better weighted. As a result, you've got Eben Etzebeth there who can contest. And with that contest, we win it back from Johan Krabbelar. First phase off the back of this kick, it goes back to Andre Pollard. He kicked towards a bit of space, turns the defense. Edel van der Merwe gets up there, as well as Kanan Moody. They manage to hold up the player, Andre Esterhuizen arriving, as well as Ben Jason Dixon. As a result, the Boks get a scrum. Directly from that scrum, we then see our reserve front row decimate Argentina, push them back on penalty advantage, and Cameron Hanekom grabs the ball and goes over. So essentially, it was the very thing we complained about that caused the moment to win us the game. Now, had we kicked better throughout the game, we probably would have created more opportunities. Had we kicked less, would we have been better? Would we have created as many opportunities? Difficult to say. You can't rule out the fact that we wouldn't. However, a team that hadn't quite gelled, a backline that wasn't sinking particularly well, and a pack that wasn't necessarily finding as much dominance, it would be just pure speculation to suggest that had we not, and had we basically shelved the kick, that all of a sudden we would have been able to find space, keep the ball in hand. And we've got to get rid of the idea that by simply keeping the ball in hand and not kicking the ball away, we create opportunities, because that is not backed up by any of the stats. Let me take you back to Ellis Park last year in 2025, where the Boks raced to a 22-0 lead before losing to Australia by 38 points, 22. 38 unanswered points, one of the worst games in the recent years in terms of a complete capitulation. Go back and review that game. 18 kicks from hand that the Boks had, very, very few in comparison. If you look at the progression of the match, early days, we kicked well, we contested for the ball, and we won the ball back, and we worked really hard in terms of racing up to that lead. Post that, we started to kick very poorly, and we started to kick less, actually. And if you look back at the Joseph Suali'i try, when Mani Liebach tries the Hail Mary, everyone last night spoke about the fact that we didn't want to kick and that we wanted to keep ball in hand. In that particular instant, Mani Liebach decides to go to the boot there and not throw that pass. There might not have been the intercept, and that was one of probably the pivotal moment where that entire game shifted on its head. So once again, it is pure speculation, but it goes to show that keeping the ball in hand and playing the hostile out wide towards the wing does not always work. Similarly, if we then look at what this means for the Boks, more kicks means fewer carries. As a result, it means you can go for longer, you can play at a higher intensity. We deliver tries faster than New Zealand off the same amount of possession. That is based on the Nations Championship during those first 3 weeks. New Zealand have gone the other way. Under Rennie, they have decided to not kick as much, build far more rucks and at a quicker ruck speed, and to try and find gaps like that. Two different philosophies with the same net result. But again, you have to play to your strengths. The Boks have got the best kick retention in the world. The All Blacks do not. The aerial contest decides games. Your back three selection now is becoming more important than ever, as well as finding how to get more players into the contest, like an Eben Etzebeth. There's a reason that Ethan Hooker, whilst Rassie always speaks about him as being a centre, plays on the wing a lot for the Boks. There's a reason why fullbacks, we're always looking at people that are very good in the air. I played at Fassi, had a good season a couple of seasons ago in the air. Damian Willemse, probably one of the best in the world at that. When we've kicked well, we've scored lots of points. It is that complete fallacy that the Boks do not play, inverted commas, exciting rugby. They are scoring more points than any other team in the world over the last calendar year, and are on an 11-match winning streak. And when you look at the games where they have scored lots of points, the 43 points to 10 victory, where some of the best tries we've ever scored were being scored, 32 kicks from hand, 8 high ball regathers. And we won 36-0 in that second half. Once again, you kick well, you create opportunities, you score points. Against Argentina, literally a week later, 67 points to 30, 40 kicks from hand, 8 ball regathers, 25 of those in the second half, and we raced to that kind of win. The 110 points across 2 matches, and the All Blacks' heaviest ever defeat at a time when we just kicked the best we've ever kicked. So whilst you might not like it, you might not like it, maybe a fan, and there's no doubt that last night it wasn't as accurate, get used to seeing the kicking game from the Boks. Get used to seeing the kicking game across World Rugby, because it has become a shortcut towards progressing over the pitch. It has become one of the most potent forms of attack. You can't compare what happened 10 years ago to what happens now. Law changes, player personnel, and the way the game moves is what dictates the way we play. And when we play well, it is because we are kicking well, we are kicking contestables, we are winning that ball back, we are creating opportunities, and we are scoring points. What are your thoughts? Let me know down in the comments below.